Jnanakosha, Puranas, Introduction.
सर्गश्च प्रतिसर्गश्च वंशो मन्वन्तराणि च वंशानुचरितं चैव पुराणं पञ्चलक्षणम्.
Vishnu Purana, Part 5. Salvation of Paundarak. Once Balarama and Krishna had gone to Braj to see Nanda Baba there. Meanwhile, the king Paundarak of Karush sent an envoy to Lord Krishna with a message that say, I am Lord Vasudev. Paundarak's envoy arrived in the court and read out the message. To bestow my grace on the people, I have taken an incarnation. You have falsely named yourself as Vasudev and bore my insignia. Take my refuge or face the battle. Hearing the message of Paundarak, Ugrasen and other courtiers began to laugh. Lord Krishna asked the envoy to inform Paundarak that he would launch his wheel on him and his army. Receiving the message, Paundarak launched an attack on Dwarka with 2 Akshahunati armies. The king of Kashi was a friend of Paundarak. He too came to his assistance with 3 Akshayuni armies. Paundarak had disguised as Vasudev and was bearing artificial conch, wheel, maize and lotus, and he had also adorned swastika, kaustubha. All the people began to laugh at Paundarak's clown-like attire. In no time, Lord Krishna stripped him of all his adornments. His wheel cut his head. Then with an arrow, Lord Krishna cut the head of the king of Kashi. His head fell in front of his palace gate. Sudakshan, the son of the Kashi king, organized a grand yajna to avenge his father's killing. An ogress, Kritya, emerged from the yajna and began to burn Dwarka. All the people prayed Krishna to protect them. Lord Krishna assured them to be fearless and ordered his wheel Sudarshan to kill Kritya. Sudarshan extinguished the fire, killed Kritya and destroyed Kashi. Then it returned to Lord Krishna's finger. Salvation of Dvid. There was once a monkey named Dvid. He was the friend of Bhanashur. When Dvid heard about Bhaumashur's killing by Sri Krishna, he began to cause large-scale destruction in the kingdom. His disruptive activities in the country began to terrorize the subjects of Lord Krishna. Once hearing sweet music, the monkey was drawn towards the Raivatak mountain. There he saw Balarama amidst beautiful young women. The monkey began to behave indecently. Angered by his indecency, Balarama hit him with his pestle, named Sunand, and killed the monkey. Marriage of Sam. Sam was the son of Lord Krishna and born to Jambavati. He had kidnapped Lakshman, the daughter of Duryodhan, from her Swayamvaram. Infuriated, Kauravas chased them and with difficulty they caught Sam and tied him. When the Yaduvanshis got the news, they began preparations to launch an attack on Kauravas. Balarama pacified them and reached Hastinapur alone. There he received a warm welcome from the Kauravas. Balarama said to them, It is an order of the king Ugrasena that you should see Sam off with his newly wedded wife. Hearing Balarama's words, Kauravas got angry and began to deride Yaduvanshis. Infuriated by Kauravas' deviation, Balarama trained his pestle and plow. He intended to turn over the town of Hastinapur into the river Yamuna. When the city began to shake, Kauravas felt perplexed and begged Balarama for his pardon. Balarama assured them to be fearless and returned to Dwarka. with Sam and his newly wedded wife Lakshmana. King in captivity seek Krishna's help to kill Jarasandha. Once Lord Krishna was holding his court when an emissary arrived in the court. The kings who were held captive forcibly by Jarasandha had sent him. The emissary related the miseries of those kings to Lord Krishna. Through the emissary, the kings had requested, O Lord of the world, kindly get us free from our miseries. We are in your refuge. We desire your sight. Kindly bestow us with your grace. Lord Krishna sent the emissary off with the assurance of timely action. Meanwhile, Devarishi Narada arrived in the court and informed the Lord of Yudhishthira's intention to organize a grand Rajasuya Yajna and his cordial invitation for the Lord to attend the ceremony. Lord asked his friend Uddhava for an advice as to where he ought to go first, to Indraprasth in Rajasuya Yajna or to liberate the king from the captivity of Jarasandha. Uddhava advised Lord to go to Indraprasth first. There he would be able to serve both the purposes. Uddhava's advice was in the interest of all. Everyone supported it. Taking permission from his priests and teachers, Lord Krishna set out on a chariot with the whole family to reach Indraprasth. In Indraprasth, Pandavas accorded Lord Krishna with warm-hearted felicitations. By the dictate of Lord Krishna, Mayasur built a divine-looking court for Yudhishthira. The courtroom was a marvelous piece of architecture. The shining, smooth floor of it appeared like water, while water bodies presented a look like marble floors. During Yudhishthira's Rajasuya Yajna, all the Pandavas set out in all the directions to conquer the kings and expand the boundaries of their kingdom. Warriors like Bhima, Arjuna defeated great kings all around and extended the boundaries of Yudhishthira's empire. But to defeat Jarasandha, Bhima, Arjuna and Lord Krishna went in the guise of Brahmins. They reached Jarasandha's capital, Girivraj, and prayed him for donations. Jarasandha promised to give them the things of their desires. Lord Krishna then introduced them and begged Jarasandha for a duel with any of them. Jarasandha accepted to fight a duel with Bhima. He gave Bhima a mace and both of them came out to the outskirts of the town where they began their duel. Both of them were equally strong and equally brave and well fitted. 27 days passed, but their duel remained inconclusive. On the 28th day, during the fight, Lord Krishna signaled Bhima a way to kill Jarasandha. He took a small twig in his hands and tore it apart into two. Bhima understood the signal and beating Jarasandha on ground, he tore him apart in two pieces and threw them in opposite directions. Thus came the end of evil Jarasandha. Lord Krishna and Arjuna heartily greeted Bhima for his success. They then enthroned Jarasandha's son Sahadev and also got the captive kings released. Salvation of Shishupal. King Yudhishthira had invited great Vedic Brahmins and Acharyas on the occasion. Persons from Kauravas' side like Drona, Bhishma, Kripacharya, Dhritarashtra, Vidura and Duryodhana were too invited to witness the celebrations. Even Brahma, Shiv, Indra, Gandharvas, Vidyadhar had too arrived, but before the yajna could start, a dispute cropped up among the great sages as to who ought to be worshipped first in the yajna. In the opinion of Sahadeva, youngest of the Pandava brothers, not the son of Jarasandha, Lord Krishna deserved the first worship. Everyone supported him. Only Shishupal could not tolerate the decision. He stood up and said, in the presence of such great ascetic savants, polymaths and sages, how can this coward deserve the first worship? Despite Shishupala's bitter remarks, Lord Krishna kept quiet. But Shishupala did not. encouraged by Lord Krishna's silence, he began to attack the kings who stood by Lord Krishna's side with swords. He was simultaneously abusing Lord Krishna also. Lord Krishna had assured Shishupal of this forgiveness for up to 100 sins. But now Shishupal's sins have crossed that permitted number. So, quieting all, Lord Krishna cut his head with his wheel. As soon as the dead body of Shishupal fell on the ground, a flame emerged from it and merged with Lord Krishna. Sukadev says, O Parikshit, feelings of hostility had been accumulating in the heart of Shishupal for his past 3 births against Lord Krishna. It was because of these intense hostile feelings that Shishupal met salvation eventually. After the salvation of Shishupal, ceremonies and rituals of yajna proceeded unabated. At the end, King Yudhishthira presented all those present there with fitting gifts and took ceremonial bath. At the request of Pandavas, Lord Krishna stayed in Indraprasth for many months. Salvation of Shalva. Sukadev says, Parikshit, now listen to the tale of how Lord Krishna caused salvation for Saul. Saul was the childhood friend of Shishupal and had attended the marriage of Rukmini as a member of Shishupal's wedding party. At that time, Yaduvanshis had defeated them all, including Jarasandha and Shalva. Right at the moment, Shalva had resolved to destroy Yaduvanshis and began worshipping gods of the gods Pashupati Shiva. Lord Ashutosh Shiva was pleased with him. As a boon, Shalva had got an aeroplane that was invincible even for the gods, demons, humans, Nagas, and was particularly formidable for Yaduvanshis. By the dictate of Lord Shiva, the demon Maya constructed such an aeroplane of iron. The aeroplane named Shaubha was as big as a city and was difficult to be spotted or caught. It could move as fast as one's wishes. Soon after getting the aeroplane, Shalva launched an attack of Dwarka. Surrounding Dwarka, Shalva began to destroy buildings and houses there. Seeing the people terrorized, Pradyumna consoled them to be fearless, and he set out on a chariot to counter Shalva. He pierced Shalva with arrows, but Shalva's minister Dhumana attacked Pradyumna with a mace. But the blow of the mace, Pradyumna lost his consciousness. But soon he came around and began to slay Shalva's forces. The fierce battle continued for 27 days. Lord Krishna was away then in Indraprasth Yajna. But he was sure that in his absence, Kshatriya kings of Shishupal side would be attacking on Dwarka. Lord Krishna reached Dwarka and saw a fierce battle between Pradyumna and Shalva. Seeing Lord Krishna arrive, Shalva began to attack him with sharp arrows. Lord Krishna hit Shalva with a powerful blow of mace, and he began to spit blood from his mouth. He then tried to show many illusions and showered Lord Krishna with weapons. But Lord Krishna wounded Shalva with his arrows, broke his aeroplane with his mace. Very soon thereafter, the aeroplane plunged into the sea. Shalva then attacked Lord Krishna with mace, but Lord Krishna cut his head with Sudarshan wheel. Seeing his end, all the gods showered flowers on Krishna. Salvation of Dantavakra and Vidurath. After the killing of Shishupal, Dantavakra arrived in the battlefield carrying a mace. When Lord Krishna saw him coming, he too jumped down from the chariot and balked his movement with a mace. Dantavakra tried to humiliate God with his abuses and hit him on the head with his mace. Lord Krishna easily bore the blow of mace and hit Dantavakra's chest with his mace named Kaumadaki. Dantavakra's heart tore apart by the blow and he fell dead. Vidurath was the brother of Dantavakra. He came in the field with a sword and shield to avenge his brother's death. Seeing him ready to launch an attack, Lord Krishna cut Vidurath's head with his wheel. Thus Lord Krishna entered Dwarka only after killing Shal, Dantavakra and Vidurath. All the gods and other inhabitants of heaven showered flowers on him. Sudama, the Lord Krishna's friend. During his stay as a disciple at the hermitage of sage Sandipani, Lord Krishna had a Brahmin friend named Sudama. He was very indifferent in nature with no desires for the material things. After their education, Lord Krishna came to Dwaraka, while Sudama, who had no any inclination for accumulating material wealth, got married and began to pass his life with his wife Shushila in abject poverty. One day his wife Shushila said, "O Lord, your friend Krishna is the king of Dwaraka. He is very benevolent to Brahmins and his devotees. If you go to see him, he will understand your miseries and grant you a lot of wealth." But Sudama plainly refused, saying, "Devi, I have chosen the path of devotion for self-upliftment and not for the world." Shushila, however, kept off insisting, "All right, don't go for the wealth, but at least you can go to see your old friend." Sudama accepted this proposition, thinking that only the sight of Lord yields surprise benefit to the devotee. But he wanted something as a gift to present to his old friend. At this his wife tied 4 handfuls of raw rice in a bundle. With that humble gift, Sudama set out for Dwaraka. His poverty was at its head, but he kept on reciting Lord Krishna's name all along the way. After walking for some distance, Sudama felt thirsty. He drank water, quenched his thirst, and thanked God that he at least does give water to drink. Sudama kept on walking the whole day. In the evening, he kept the bundle of rice under his head as a pillow and slept. Now it was Lord Krishna's turn to show his gratitude for the devotee. When Sudama awoke in the morning, he found himself right in front of Lord Krishna's palace. At first he could not believe his eyes, but the people told him that he was in Dwaraka and standing right before the Lord's palace. Sudama requested the gatekeeper to inform Lord Krishna that his childhood friend Sudama had come. Lord Krishna was sitting in the company of Rukmani when the gatekeeper delivered the message. As soon as Lord Krishna learnt about Sudama's arrival, he stood up and ran helter-skelter to welcome his childhood friend. At the gate, he cordially embraced Sudama and escorted him into his private chamber and made him sit on the throne. Krishna and Queen Rukmani both washed Sudama's feet one by one. By the mere touch of his friend, Krishna was feeling overjoyed. His eyes filled with tears. He and Sudama were holding each other's hand. Their hearts were beating with the memories of their period as disciples at the hermitage of Sandipani. For long, none of them could utter a word. At last, Sudama said, "O Jagat the Guru Krishna, I have the fortune of being your friend, but remains for me to do." Lord Krishna said, "Brother, have you brought for me something sent by my sister-in-law? I love to accept even the piteous thing presented with affection." At Krishna's words, Sudama felt ashamed and he did not reveal the 4 handfuls of raw rice that he had brought as gift. With shame, Sudama began to look at the ground. Lord Krishna knew everything, that his dear friend Sudama had never remembered him with a desire for wealth. This time too he has come at the instance of his wife. Hence I will give him the wealth that is rare even for the gods. thought Lord Krishna, and snatched the bundle of raw rice and opened it with great respect. He put one handful of it in his mouth. When Lord proceeded to take next handful, Queen Rukmani held his hand and prayed, O Vishwambhar, for the prosperity of entire world, this one handful is sufficient. Sudama stayed that night in the palace of Sri Krishna. There he experienced the comfort of Vaikuntha. Staying there for many days, Sudama at last took leave of Sri Krishna and set out for his home. Lord Krishna did not give Sudama anything apparently, nor did Sudama ask for his favor. He was traveling overwhelmed by a divine sense of devotion and felt that Krishna might have not given him wealth lest he should forget him. Thus sunk in my right kinds of thoughts, Sudama reached his home. But at the place where his dilapidated hut stood once, there was now a divine palace surrounded by a verdant garden. The floors of the palace were embedded with precious gems and stones. Standing at the gate, Sudama felt confused. When his wife Shushila came out with scented water to welcome him, tears were rolling. Tears were rolling on her cheeks. With love she greeted Sudama and escorted him inside the palace. Sudama was still reflecting over the God's grace and praying, May I have the friendship of Lord in every birth. May my affection increase for Lord Krishna's feet. I don't want wealth. Since then, Sudama enjoyed the comforts of the palace as the bounty of Lord Krishna bestowed upon him by none other than the Lord Krishna himself. His devotion increased day by day. Meeting of Lord Krishna with gopis. Sukadeva says, O Parikshit, Lord Krishna was passing his time with pleasure in Dwarka. A total solar eclipse happened to fall during the period. People from all over India thronged in Kurukshetra to take a dip in sacred Ganges on that great occasion. All the Yaduvanshis too arrived there. When Yaduvanshis learnt about Krishna and Balarama's arrival in Kurukshetra, they too assembled there. During the festival, Lord Krishna met his foster father Nand and other cohorts who were in childhood friends. Lord Krishna met the gopis also, who had been pining for his sight since long. They enjoyed the meeting and kept on chanting for love. Overwhelmed by love and joy, Vasudev embraced Nand. Lord Krishna and Balarama respectfully greeted Mother Yashoda and Father Nand. They too embraced Krishna and Balarama cordially. Gopis were specially overwhelmed by Lord Krishna's sight. They had no other desire but to have a sight of Lord Krishna. That day their long cherished dream had come true. Gopis imbued the captivating appearance of Lord Krishna and experienced the joy of embracing him. Krishna met all the gopis and embraced them. He inquired about their well-being and preached them with spiritual knowledge. By the virtue of that knowledge, feeling of living disappeared among the gopis and they merged with God forever. Organization of Yajna by Vasudev. Devarishi, Narada, Vyasa and many other great sages arrived in Kurukshetra to have a sight of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna welcomed them all. Then Vasudeva greeted them and inquired about way for his self-fulfillment. Laughingly, Narada said, Vasudeva, a person already living at the bank of Ganges discards her holy water and goes to other places of pilgrimage for his purification. In the presence of Krishna and Balarama, the sages said, You regard the indescribable, eternal Sachidananda Sri Krishna as your son, and seek the way of your self upliftment from us. O Vasudev, recognize him, take to his refuge, only he can save you. Vasudev got the meaning of sage's words and began to develop feelings of devotion for his son. Every human being has obligations for the gods, sages and his ancestors. The sages got a yajna performed in Kurukshetra by Vasudev to free him from the obligation for gods. Revisiting the Devaki's 6 sons. In Dwarka, Krishna and Balrama used to greet their parents first daily in the morning. Now Vasudev had recognized his identity. So after their return from Kurukshetra, when Krishna and Balrama went as usual to greet their parents, Vasudev greeted them first. Lord Krishna then preached his father about the metaphysical knowledge. With that knowledge, Vasudev began to see Krishna everywhere. Mother Devaki was also present there. Memory of her 6 children who were killed by Kansa was still afresh in her mind. She had heard that Krishna had fetched the dead son of Sandipani from Yamaloka. So she prayed to them, "You both are venerable even to the gods. Kindly grant me my desire. Show me my 6 sons who were killed by Kansa. By their mother's dictate and helped by Yogamaya, both the brothers reached Sutalaloka. The demon king Vali welcomed them there and offered them a seat and washed their feet. King Vali then asked God what could he do for him. Lord said, O demon king, in Swayambhu Manvantara, 6 sons were born to Urna, the wife of Prajapati Marichi. They were all gods. They had once seen Brahma trying to copulate with his own daughter and hence derided at him. Indignant Brahma had then cursed them to take birth in demon incarnation. They therefore were born as the sons of Hiranyakashipu. In the recent era, Yogamaya had made them born as Devaki's sons who were killed by Kamsa. They are all now in your loka. Mother Devaki is mourning for them, so we shall take them with us. They will thus be freed from the curse and go to their heavenly abode." Thus Lord Krishna and Balrama brought those 6 babies to Dwarka and handed them to Mother Devaki. Seeing her babies again, Devaki's heart filled with love for her sons. Milk began to flood her breast. She breastfed them. Drinking the milk, all the babies received salvation. They then departed to their heavenly abode. Love and marriage of Subhadra and Arjuna. King Parikshit asked Gurudev, "How did my grandfather Arjuna and grandmother Subhadra got married? I want to hear this tale. Kindly narrate it to me." Sukadev said, Parikshit, once travelling on a pilgrimage tour, Arjuna reached in Prabha's region. There he learned that Balrama was desirous of marrying his sister Subhadra to Duryodhana. But Vasudev and Krishna were not in the favor of the marriage. So a strong urge took hold in his mind to get Subhadra as his wife. Acting as per the urge, Arjuna reached Dwarka in the guise of Vaishnav sage. It was rainy season. Then, so with an excuse of Chaturmasya Vrata, Arjuna stayed in Dwarka. During his stay, Balrama served and looked after him very well. But neither Balrama nor any other inmates of the palace could recognize Arjuna. Once Balrama invited Arjuna to his home. There he offered good, delicious food to Arjuna. Subhadra too served him well. There they fell in love with each other. Later on, boarding a chariot, Subhadra went out of the palace for a joyride. At the outskirts of the town, Arjuna was awaiting for her. He had already taken permission of Devaki, Vasudev, and Krishna. Subhadra too had silently nodded her acceptance. So that evening Arjuna and Subhadra eloped from Dwaraka. The news of Subhadra eloping with Arjuna first outraged Balrama, but Lord Krishna and other near and dear ones convinced and pacified him.